The great author C.S. Lewis once said, quote, "No book is really worth reading at the age of 10, which is not equally and often far more worth reading at the age of 50 and beyond," end quote. And I found that to be true in my life generally, but especially on the Velshi Band Book Club. Novels, memoirs, and poetry that I read in high school or in college resonate more today after a second read. It isn't just that I understand them more, that I pick up important moments and characters and beautiful lines of writing that I missed the first time around. It's that these books have something different to impart on me during a second or a third read. Today on the Velshi Band Book Club, we're revisiting a book that's meant something different to me each time I picked it up. This memoir was one of our first ever features on the Velshi Band Book Club. It's called All Boys Aren't Blue, a memoir manifesto by George M. Johnson. It is today's Velshi Band Book Club feature once again. Told to us through a series of unflinching personal essays, All Boys Aren't Blue explores Johnson's life from childhood through young adulthood in New Jersey and Virginia. Johnson, a master at writing vulnerability and emotion, shares the most difficult parts of their life with us, from bullying, sexual assault by a trusted family member, and death. Johnson is unrelenting in their empathy. All Boys Aren't Blue is a frank examination of family, of circumstance, and of survival. At its core, All Boys Aren't Blue grapples with Johnson's identity as a black, non-binary person. In the pages, Johnson doesn't offer solutions, but rather a safe place to land. The ethos of the memoir is, I see you. Quote, "We are not as different as you think, and all our stories matter and deserve to be celebrated and told," end quote. This month, All Boys Aren't Blue hit two major milestones. One is an anniversary. All Boys Aren't Blue turned 5 years old. 5 remarkable years of inspiring writers, creating empathy, and giving readers that safe place to land. The other milestone is more grim. According to the American Library Association, All Boys Aren't Blue was the single most banned and challenged work of literature in America last year. It is not an honor. It is not a selling mechanism. It is a tragedy. When George joined us last September to commemorate the 100th meeting of the Velshi Band Book Club, I remember saying that All Boys Aren't Blue has become more than just a powerful story or a beautiful work of literature. All Boys Aren't Blue has become a symbol. It's representative of free speech, of access to literature, and of resistance. In 5 years, Johnson has become one of the most important voices in the fight against censorship. All Boys Aren't Blue has gone from a remarkable debut memoir to one of the most critical works of literature in the contemporary American canon, the sort of book that imparts a different lesson upon you every single time you read it. I'm joined now by the friend of the show, critically important member of the Velshi Band Book Club, the only member of the Velshi Band Book Club to have a fourth appearance, George M. Johnson, author of 3 books, including All Boys Aren't Blue. George, a warm welcome back to you. Congratulations on the 5th anniversary of the book, and condolences on being the face of banned books in America.
Yeah, it's been an interesting journey. Once again, thank you for having me back. It's an interesting journey, but a journey I was always prepared for. When I first wrote the book, one of the first things I said was, this book is probably going to have some challenges. It'll probably be banned at some point, because I could see what the tide of the country was shifting to. And this is back in 2018 when I first started writing it. It came out during the pandemic, so a lot of people didn't know it existed until kids went back to school that following year, when all of the book bans rose. But ultimately, I always trust in the words of Toni Morrison. Art is one of those guardrails that we have that protect us against fascism, protect us against oppressions, and also shift culture. And if someone is trying to ban your art, then they know that whatever that art is doing, it must be making shifts towards the bad policies and the bad politics that are coming from the other side.
George, last weekend I had John Yeaget on. He's the CEO of Macmillan Publishers, who published All Boys Aren't Blue. I want to play you a short clip of what John said about you.
George comes out. George is an advocate. They fight, but I know it also takes a toll on George. It's, you don't always want to have to fight for who you are, right? And when you look at what's in that book, when you read that book, it's a heartwarming coming-of-age story talking about things that so many people deal with. And now we're going to ban that? It makes absolutely no sense.
But there's tough. George, what's your reaction to that? I know you've been willing to be in this fight, and that's a symbol of courage. But
Kind
of got to suck some days.
Yes, there are some days that are harder than others. But I do think that because, honestly, I always feel like to be Black and queer, especially in America, it almost is like you're always in a state of rage at times. You're having to make sacrifices where you are choosing joy, happiness, you are choosing to be okay against your own safety. So for me, it's been tough these last 3 weeks, which is why I kind of stepped away so that I could fully process it. I think it's just a grieving process, right? I think there's like the death of old so that I can step into what's new. And so there are days that are heavier than others, but it's the messages that I get from so many people who are being saved by the text, from so many people who are being activated by the text that remind me of why I do what I do. And also it reactivates me about why I wrote the text and why I continue to write more books. As you said, I have 3 books now, right? This could have stopped me from writing. This could have stopped me from continuing to put that work in the world that was going to continue to shift culture, whether I was talking about our past, whether I was talking about my own story, or whether I'm talking about Black futures and just the futures of LGBTQ people and the futures of us as a society. But it didn't. And so ultimately, the attempts against my mental health, they keep coming and they're fast and they're furious, but I'm just built with a different type of will and built with a different type of ancestor that's always protected me, that tells me, keep going, keep going, keep going.
I just got to pause there for a second to let that sink in. I'm built with something that says keep going. One of the things we talk about on this show is reading as resistance, right? So you're writing as resistance, but let's discuss reading as resistance. I want to quote from the middle of the memoir. There are so many people who are young and out and looking for a support system. Build the support system that you want to have around. This won't always be easy. I'm not going to lie. I won't sell you on the fable of it gets better like the media tries to do without offering how. The how comes in being willing to take a chance on yourself and create the support system you wish to have. I would also tell you to reclaim that campaign slogan and use it from a place of power. And this is the important part here. Tell folks, especially those who are non-queer and non-Black, to make it better. Something getting better doesn't happen without action, and you have every right to ask for that, end quote. Here's my point, what I take from that, George. One of the ways we, the rest of us, can make it better is by actually reading the books, not just being outraged about the fact that they're banned. All thinking people should be outraged that we ban books. Read them. Encourage people to read them.
Yeah, ultimately, the issues that people have with my books occur in the 200 plus pages. I believe it's page 270, 272, and 274. You don't start a book at the middle, though. Yep. And the fact of the matter is they have not read the book. And the reason I know they haven't read the book is because the things that they are critical of, i.e. like your earlier segment about attacking museums and removing history, I critique all of those things very early in the book. I critique Thomas Jefferson. I critique Abraham Lincoln. Not one challenge against my book has been about that, even though they publicly attack those things. But that's because they don't even know that that's in the book, because they have started my book at the end of the book. And so it's simple, right? We always, as a kid, we have been taught you don't judge a book by its cover. And although my cover is a beautiful cover and an entry point into the book, it's not the totality of the story. So those sections that they don't like, okay, but have you read the entire book to even know why these sections were necessary to be there? And so you're absolutely right. One of our strongest tools is reading the entire book and then putting the actual message about what the books are about back into the world.
George, it is, for all the wrong reasons, our pleasure to have you back here again, and I suspect we'll have much more occasion. You've been a great friend of our show. You've been a real inspiration to what we do, and I hope we can return the favor as readers and supporters to you to say, keep doing what you do. Keep doing it. You've got a support mechanism out here, and we at the Velshi Band Book Club are happy to play a role as a part of that. Thank you to a longtime friend and member of the Velshi Band Book Club, George M. Johnson, the author of 3 books, including today's feature, All Boys Aren't Blue.